It is Kendell Lenice, and welcome to Kendell Lenice Live. I'm so glad that you returned for part 2 of the colorism conversation. Colorism is running rampant in the Black community, and we are here to pull the covers up, and we are here to expose the truth. Not to dispose the truth just because, but to really help you and to see how you're thinking and be able to see yourself in these conversations. Once we can do that, that's when we can begin to heal as a community. So again, you are watching Kendell Lenice Live right here on YouTube. Before we go any further, please do me a favor and subscribe below. It's so important that you do that and share and comment on conversations like this, because it's all about the betterment of us. So on this channel and on this show, I try to expose the truth about us, burst the myths, confront the myths and stereotypes so we can grow as a people. And that's really what it's about. So colorism, for those that don't know, it's discrimination within our race or a particular race that divides. So if you didn't listen or watch part 1, actually, of colorism, the conversation, please do that right here on YouTube. And then you can come on over to part 2. So if you are sharing this, please share part 1 and part 2 so they can see the full conversation. Now, in 2 parts, we're not going to tackle and diminish and rise as a people because of just these 2 conversations, but it's a start, and we want to show change and transformation in our community. So before I introduce my guest, you know, KeKe was with us for part 1. Kanita was here, as well as Danielle. Well, Danielle couldn't make it, so, and you guys heard me talk about Shasta in the beginning of part 1. She is here. So let me just clear this up right now, because some of you will be thinking it. This is how it goes. We didn't swap out a brown-skinned person for a light-skinned person. Not at all, because Shasta was originally supposed to be here and Danielle can't. But those are the things that we talk about, and those are the things that people will point out in the Black community. So we're going to just burst that right now. People are people when it comes to us in our community, and we are all the same. We are all beautifully shaded differently, and that's how you have to look at it. The brown-skinned person is no better than the light-skinned person. The light-skinned person ain't cuter because she's light-skinned or he's light-skinned. It's not like that. So we're going to just eradicate that foolishness, and we're going to continue with this conversation. So let me introduce my guest before we get started. KeKe, hey, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so what you think about part 1?
It was heavy. It was some heavy stuff. If they have not listened to it, definitely go back and check it out. I got great reviews about it. A lot of people was like, wow, I didn't know that you experienced that. I feel like it's an opportunity to look at yourself and say, am I really healed from this?
Yeah, good stuff. Kanita, welcome back, part 2.
Thank you so much for having me. Wonderful opportunity. We love you so much, Kendell, you know that.
And I love y'all just the same, you better believe it. All right, Shasta, welcome to this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh.
Yeah, so KeKe is in Maryland. I'm in Maryland. Kanita is in Maryland. Shasta, tell the people where you are.
I am in Columbus, Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah. So she is in Columbus, and this is not a city thing. This is not a state thing. This is actually a worldwide thing when it comes to colorism. KeKe is at a different age bracket, as we talked about. Kanita, Shasta, everyone, myself, we're in a different age bracket, but Black folks all around can understand this conversation. And before we get started with these ladies, I just have to tell you. So briefly, I had a conversation with my nephew who just turned 12, and we were talking about world events, what was happening as far as police brutality. We were talking about COVID-19. He was telling me about some of the discrimination with the Karens. He knew about the Karens, and we were having an intellectual conversation. But what my nephew didn't know was about colorism. So I said, this discrimination within the Black community. If you're light skinned, if you're Black, dark skin, if you're, a lighter complexion like white, or dark, almost Black, that's Black people. And he said, but we're all Black. If it could be that simple for us. He was like, but we're all Black. And now that's coming from somebody who might look like this. No, I'm just joking. But he's a lighter shade, you know, and he has Black features, and we talked about that as well. So enough about me talking. I want to get to my guests. All right, so Kanita.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I have this wonderful lip balm on, so I'm doing amazing. Kendell, can you tell them the great news about the lip balm?
Look, y'all, I have my very own lip balm. It is called
Nice.
Thank you. And it is called 617, spelled out SIX and then 17. And it's called Lip Love. And it is organic, 100% organic lip moisturizer / balm.
Nice.
Right there for sale. The official launch is on June 17th, my birthday. So this is 617. Thank you, y'all.
And it's the balm.
She said,
It's the bomb.
it's the balm. Lip balm is the balm.
It's the
Let
bomb.
me tell you something, and I'm not just saying this because it's mine, but I don't know if you can see it, but it's 617 by KeKe Lenice. This is eucalyptus mint. That is the signature flavor. And I'm not just saying this, trust me, it goes on so smoothly. It's ridiculous. Now I'm gonna put, because I have lipstick on, but usually I put this under my lipstick, and it goes on so smoothly. It smells so good. Look up the benefits for eucalyptus as well as mint. So under your mask, you can't wear your lipstick because you know your mask messes up your lipstick, but you can wear this 617 lip balm. And this is not just for women. This is for men and women. Thank you, Kanita.
617.
Yes. So it has its own Instagram page. So you can please follow me at 617 SIXSEVENTEEN organic lips. It's at 617 organic lips on Instagram. And then also it's available at leniceboutique.com starting June 17th. If you want to pre-order it, let your girl know. Thank you, Kanita.
Thank you.
All right. So before we even get started, we know some of the experiences that KeKe had and some of the experiences that Kanita had. But Shasta, we have not heard from you. So when we talk about colorism, and I first contacted you many months ago about colorism. And I wanted you to be a part of the colorism conversation. And you said, oh, I have a lot of experience about that. I would love to be a part of that. So let's hear your story.
Well, you know, it's really funny, but not funny. I just take things lightly, how things seem to work themselves out. I've been dealing with colorism up until about an hour ago. It's really ironic. I got a message on my Facebook from someone, and the comment that was made was, oh, I keep forgetting you're light skinned. That's why you haven't replied to me.
What?
And these are the things, there's these stereotypes that I wish really could go away, and I'll never understand. I grew up in Minot, North Dakota. I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, so I've seen a lot of diversity, but when I moved to North Dakota, that's where colorism really came into play for me. I went to a private school where there was probably 5% any other race. And the crazy thing for me was the issues that I had were not with white Americans. I mean, it just wasn't, and I hate saying that, but the issues I had were the people that we should have been trying to stick together. You know, and I've dealt with this. I feel like a majority of it is just complete. I think it's upbringing, honestly. You know, I'm very direct and I'm very blunt about things. And the one thing that I don't talk about a lot, so this is beautiful on this day, unfortunately, but a lot of the things that I learned about colorism, good, bad, or in between, was from my mother. We could go out somewhere and it could be just a bunch of people, and she would notice a dark-skinned person maybe looking in our direction, and she would immediately assume it was because we were light. Well, if you are brought up under that for enough years, you start believing that. So, you know, elementary.
So did she believe they were looking at you because you were light and they admired you, or they were looking at you in light and they despised you?
A majority of the time, if I'm being real with myself, it would be a negative. Now, when I got a little older, I had taken on these thoughts. Why are they staring at me? What are you looking at? I was coming off kind of rude. Then she kind of switched it up to, you know, maybe they think you're pretty. And one day I addressed my mom and I said, but Mom, remember growing up, you always told me, you know, that dark-skinned women and light-skinned women always have these differences. Do we really? Because the older that I've gotten, I'm 42 now, between school and getting out of Minot, North Dakota and traveling around the world, I don't notice it as much. I know it's still there, but growing up at a young age, I did have some issues. You know, you think you're cute because you're light. You know, at one point I did have hair to my waist. I have dimples. I never pay attention to that stuff because I've seen some light skins that they might be questionable. So,
we talked about that on the first.
I mean, it is what it is. I hate that when I see dark-skinned women, if we have to separate it by color, that are gorgeous. Like, why does it have to be about a shade? I understand with slavery, but can we come out of that a little bit? Because I'm not like that at all. I see you for who you are, no matter what shade you are.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's so important that you said that, because it all stemmed from slavery, as we all know, and the divide right there. And I agree with you. So slavery was not 400 years ago, but slavery was, we want to talk about officially over, or we want to talk about systemic slavery, you know what I mean?
Right.
But we're still in some, so I can't even really say when slavery was over or when we were free. Juneteenth is coming up, so we can talk about that. But it's just, it doesn't really still surprise me. I'm not even going to lie. It doesn't surprise me. And the reason why it doesn't surprise me that it's still going on and we still have the divide between light skin and dark skin is because we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it like for real, for real. We might hurt somebody's feelings. Somebody might like us, and now they don't like us. That might bring up dirty truths that people don't want to address and face. So a lot of people don't talk about it, even though we know in the Black community it still exists. I still see people say, oh, she's too Black, or she's cute for dark skin, or she's light skin. I thought that she would be cuter than this, or she's light skin. I thought that she would be stuck up with an attitude.
Right.
You know, would say that. And when we were talking, I was like, well, I was really trying to think hard if I had any different experiences, you know, because of my shade. And I did think of something that we talked about when people say, someone met me one time, they were like, oh, I thought you were going to be stuck up. Well, why did you think, but you're cool, you down to earth and funny. And I was like, well, why would you think I was stuck up? And they were saying, you know, just because of how you look. They didn't say the light skin. So I'm thinking like, okay, if it's coming from a brown skinned person, you know, and it's not trying to be funny, just being honest. If it comes from a brown skinned person, they have that preconception of you and how you're supposed to be. And Danielle was mentioning some of that last week. All right, so Kanita, we talked about, before we started, we talked about the brown, you asked me if I had a brown paper bag. And I said, we're here, because that's exactly what I want to talk about. So KeKe, being 29 and a baby, a sweet little baby, she was like, well, what's that? And I said, pause, you millennial, don't research it. We are going to talk about it on the show. And KeKe, what did you do when I said that?
I put my hands up. I'm not looking. I'm not Googling nothing. I'm innocent. Right, I still do not know.
Now, I have this lovely Zara bag that's blue on the outside, but the paper bag is this. You see that color?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kanita, you wanna start us off? That's
Yeah,
the
I'll
paper bag
start
test. So
off.
just imagine if you go to the supermarket and they ask you plastic or paper, or you go to Trader Joe and they have the paper bag. Let's get it. All right, Kanita. So what why was this significant?
Yeah, I was just asking, did anybody on the line today have a paper bag? Because it was a paper bag test. And basically, if you were lighter than a paper bag, it was a margin or a marker of, if you're lighter, then you're passable, you're great.
KeKe is looking shocked right now.
Mhm.
You guys
I
can't
I wish I didn't know now.
If you're dark, we're trying to school you.
I
If
wish
you're
I
darker, then it was used as a test. It was used as a ruler. It was used as a margin to say what's light, what's good, what's black. And I heard this recently, that if you're black, you need to get back. If you're yellow, you're mellow. If you're white, you're right. I'm like, where do we come up with all of this? So it was really used as a margin.
If you're brown, you can stick around in some cases too.
Mhm.
I mean, so basically, KeKe, just to school you a little bit, and I know Sasha probably wants to come in too, but it was used as a test to see what was black, what was good, what was, negative, what was
Yes.
the same.
And this wasn't used in the white community. This was used in the Black community. And if anybody's, I've gotten the opportunity when they first opened, and then again last year, the African American Heritage Museum in DC, and they even have this enclosed in one of the exhibits. So the brown paper bag test is an African American oral history. It was formed of racial discrimination practiced by, and I stand corrected, white America in the 20th century. Whites compared African Americans' skin tone to the color of a brown paper bag. So the reason why I instantly said it wasn't the white folks, it was us. So it was the white folks who started that, should have known. But Black folks carry that on in their traditions also. So if a woman brought home a Black man, or better yet, if a Black man brought home a Black woman, they would actually do that test. My grandmother is 100 years old, still living.
Wow.
And she made it with my grandfather, who was super, super light, got Italian in there. We already know the mixtures and how that happens. But she even had to go through that within the Black community. And if my grandmother, I'm almost thinking she's a little browner. She's more like a reddish brown, like a clay almost. But I'm almost looking at the brown paper bag like, dag, how did she pass it? And that would determine if she married my grandfather. And that went through like even before her, with her mom. And I mean, it goes back generations. And of course, I should have known it started from white folks comparing us. So we were better if we were closer to the brown paper bag, KeKe.
Wow.
So what do you think about that?
That's actually very offensive, and I'm glad that I didn't grow up in that time. Like, we experience what we experience, but to be measured up to something tangible, that's very demeaning.
Mm-hmm.
That's very demeaning.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the test was allegedly used as a way to determine whether or not an individual could have certain privileges.
Mm-hmm.
Only those with skin color that matched or were lighter than the brown paper bag were allowed admission or membership privileges. And that's what I was talking about within the Black community. Mm-hmm. So this part has nothing to do with white folks. They planted that seed as they do very often, and we took it over.
Right.
And now we might not be saying paper bag now, but we're still judging and we're still deciding. Like one of you talked about, I don't know if it was Kanita or KeKe. One of you talked about Kanita, you talked about the sororities. Mm-hmm. And you talked about where they say AKAs are light skinned, deltas are browner, and that had been a thing. And they were, some would say, now I don't want to get the AKAs mad at me, but allegedly some would say that they would look at that. I'm not saying in 2020 they're still doing that, but when it originated, they said some were doing that. So KeKe, what do you think about if you wanted to be an AKA, right?
Mhm.
Or any of them, I'm not putting anybody on blast, I promise you, none of the sororities or the fraternities. So I'm just using them as an example, and I'm not saying that AKAs do that now. But what I am saying is, think about the AKAs you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it like that. So what if you had all the qualifications, you had all your service in, you met all of the steps, you were trying to pledge, and then you did not get in, or they were not looking at you to get in? How would you feel about that?
Yeah, I would feel horrible. I would also feel discriminated against. And because the type of person that I am, I would try to see what can be done to not allow this to happen to somebody else. Because I'm definitely a person of justice, and that's unjust to judge somebody based on their complexion and not allow them to be a part of something because they don't meet the complexion requirement. So I'll be writing letters. I will be sounding the alarm, blowing my whistle, posting. Like, I would definitely go in, because that's not fair. Like, that's not being fair. And if you're a sorority, I think of that as being unified, like a group of women coming together, supporting one another in unity. And that's division, because you're not including all women.
Yeah. And some people are not going to like that I used AKs as examples. Some folks are not going to like that I use sororities and fraternities, like Kanita mentioned yesterday. But again, we are pulling the rug back. These are the conversations in the Black community that we speak about. I've heard people say this about AKAs for years. So it's not a diss. It's really about shedding light. I just really want to stress that. So Shasta, let's just say, although there were light-skinned Black Panthers, if they said, you not power to the people, your hair is to your waist, it's a little wavy, it ain't kinky enough, you can't get that afro. I'm being funny, facetious, stereotypes. And they said, Shasta, you can't be a part of this because you're not really Black. You're not really down for the cause because you don't have my same struggle. How would that make you feel?
I've actually heard that several times. I actually heard that recently with the protest. I made a choice not to go downtown Columbus.
Let me pause.
Yep.
In 2020, Shasta's saying she heard what I just said. Go ahead.
I was asked if I thought I was too cute to protest. And I just chose to stay home for my safety because I might be Blacker than some. My light doesn't say anything about me. And I know when people get loose at the lip, I'm still growing. I'm not there yet. So I don't have a criminal record, and I won't. I chose to say, do you think you're too cute? What? Because why do you think I think I'm too cute? Oh, because I talk about lip gloss popping and my hoop earrings. That's what was thrown up to me because I talk about that on my Instagram. No, I'm not. That infuriates me. It makes me angry that people stereotype. But you know the crazy part of this, when you're saying like the Black Panthers, I think about people that used to make comments when I would talk about slavery. The first thing most people would say is, shut up, you would have been in the house anyway, you're almost white. I've heard that all my life.
Kanita's shaking her head. And I must say, I've heard that before too, that I would have been in the house.
Like, are you kidding me?
And I've even said it before. You know, I said I would have wanted to be out in the field with my people. And people be like, no, you would have been in the house.
Put
and
me
I'm
in
like,
the house.
I want to be out there. But then that's the debate. Like, don't be mad at me. I didn't do it, you know.
She said, put me in the house. Okay.
Put me in the house.
Because then I'm breastfeeding for the slaves. You know, master trying to sleep with me. I got to cook for them. I got to say yes, so no. I got to have more interaction in the house.
I hate you so much.
I'd rather be in the house than getting cooked outside.
I got to smell too much in the house. Let me get in the house.
Put me in the house.
But in the field, you just get directions. Do this, you might get beat, but you don't get talked to all day. All day in the house, I got to interact
Talk to me.
with you.
Talk to me in the house.
Look, I ain't even about to lie. It's so hot outside.
Talk to me in the house.
But I mean, isn't that
And,
ignorant though in 2020
shout
to be
out
here?
to our ancestors who had to really go through that. And I
Right.
know it wasn't a laughing matter for them. You know, we wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for them. So let's just get that straight. So we're not laughing at it. You know, I feel like the show, I got to put so many disclaimers.
Disclaimer.
You know, it's crazy. We're Black. We're talking about it. These are our ancestors.
No, you're not. You're not Black because you're light skinned and you're proper. There's no way you can be Black. Look at you. Man, if people only could really get it. It is so sad. Like, I think about how much I've been discriminated against, and I used to not want to talk about it because it was about Black women. Plain and simple. I'm not.
Okay, so this is the place to talk about it. Let's have it. Here it goes.
I just tell people, like, I try to understand people. My mom used to say, imagine if you were dark skinned and you didn't have long hair and these things that people link to pretty. Imagine how you would feel, Shasta. And I'm like, well, I don't know, because, you know, I am who I am. You know, is there an assumption that because if people don't have a certain look or texture of hair, they're not beautiful? But I lived this my whole life, like having long hair, and I'm light and I sound white, as people say, whatever that is. It's frustrating.
That's a whole other conversation too.
Right.
We're going to talk to.
They say that to me, and I'm not at all light skinned.
I know, but listening to you is beautiful, because when I see you, I can imagine the way people think. I think you're gorgeous. I just listen to you talk so eloquently, but I know the ignorance of people.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I do. I love it. When I heard you, I'm like, yes, that had me hype over here.
Thank you.
People are just, they visualize.
And that smile,
Yes.
That smile, you know?
Yes.
I got it from my dad.
But it hurts me as a lighter skinned person. Again, if y'all watch episode 1 or part 1, I don't know if I'm light skinned, dark skinned, brown skinned. Well, I know I'm not dark skinned, but I don't know about the shades and all of that foolishness. But it hurts me to be my color. I'll just say that. And to see that KeKe is discriminated against and she's called maybe ugly or she's not as attractive. But when she just smiled, her whole face just lit up.
Yes.
It lit up. So that hurts me just as another Black woman, that someone would see her and judge her by her complexion first before they hear her speak, before they see her display that beautiful smile. They would judge her right off the bat. And then when she smiles, oh, she might be pretty for a brown skin girl. And then when she speaks, oh my God, she speaks so eloquently. It's almost like you're surprised that a Black woman could have that diction. Have you gotten that, KeKe?
Yes. And even when it comes to interviews, and one thing is that I have a unique name. So you already
tell them your name.
Keandria.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I go by KeKe. So you, like, an interview, you're already, you know, discriminated against because you check B for Black. So that's already strike number 1. And then your name sometimes, you know, it may be unique, it may be regular, but you have a disadvantage. But when you go and sit in a room among people who are Caucasian, they try to what? Just tell me your name, hon. And so I'm telling you my name, and you're already gesturing, and you know, like, you know, I'm not trying to be funny, but you know, white people do. You know how they gesture and adjust their body and stuff like that. You know, so and then when I speak, it's you know.
You that was like a perfect imitation.
Yes.
I can hear that.
Yes. And my thing is, don't call me hun. Like,
yeah.
Don't.
That's already a respectful tone. Look at Kanita said.
No.
Or sweet.
And I don't think it matters what complexion
or
you are.
sassy. Or you're sassy. That one takes me over the top. Like that one, like sassy, because you're the sassy Black girl.
Or what hun? Like, no, please don't ever say what hun to me. Thanks.
Ever again.
That's my disclaimer.
Thank you, Becky.
Right. Thanks, Beck.
Lord forgive me.
Shasta said thank you, Becky.
But I get her. You know, I think about that, because when you hear hear someone on the phone, sometimes you have no idea. You just don't. And that's thinking of what she just said about and I joke about this, but it's true. No matter what I look like from a very young age, once it was on the application, I put 2 or more races. You are not about to stereotype me before I can talk to you. And that's sad that I have to think that way. But most people on the phone, they think white, and then they see me and I have tattoo sleeves, and they're like, whoa, I've had employers, wow, Shasta? Wow. And I'm like, wow, what?
Like, what does that even mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Or they'll say you're articulate for a black person.
Exactly.
Like we
You're very well spoken.
Can I get this job?
Right.
Like they gotta, it's just, and sadly, since we're talking about colorism, black folks do it too.
That's true.
If KeKe walked in the room and then Kanita walked into the room and KeKe was more qualified and KeKe spoke more eloquently than Kanita could be speaking in broken English. She could be saying salmon with the L. She could be saying conversate, and she could be.
No.
What you say, Kanita?
Conversate on my salmon.
She would get the job. And poor Kanita, not the real Kanita, this is the fake Kanita, but poor Kanita, she barely got her GED. Fake KeKe, she got her doctorate.
Right.
But
Dr.
Kanita
KeKe
would get the job. So Kanita, what do you think about that? Like if you go into a job and you're, a playwright and you do a lot of casting, and I know that you two have those conversations about colorism and making sure that everyone is represented. How would you feel if it was reversed and you knew you got a job because you were lighter than the last applicant?
Wow, that would honestly make me feel horrible. It's amazing. I was having a conversation with someone earlier and they said the word, I think, Utarian. They was like, oh, if you know what that means. Like, do you know? I'm like, and this was a black person. I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, black people can know long words and know what they're using.
Wow.
What?
So I'm just like, it's just, things could be very offensive. But to go in the marketplace and to actually get a job based upon my complexion, I would probably still take the job. Let's be honest, because the bills got to be paid.
Yeah, we're going to keep it real.
Right. Because, I got mouths to feed. But honestly, I would feel horrible, but I would accept the position. That's going to be true.
Yeah. I mean,
that's because then hopefully it can change.
Yeah.
No one's being a martyr nowadays. People need to survive.
Right.
I mean, but that happens.
Yeah.
That scenario happens more than we know, but more than we know.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, Shasta. So have you ever had a brown-skinned woman or a darker complected black woman say to you, to your face, that you only got this because you're light-skinned, or you only think you're cute, or you're only cute? Because I've heard people say, well, you're only cute because you're light-skinned. Have you had someone actually say this to your face and not like just speculate or behind your back?
I don't know if because I demand respect from people without saying anything. No. Behind my back, of course, but like I say on my social media, in real life, behind my back, that's what people do. Can you tell when someone is feeling that? Yeah. I mean, honestly, if I can remember, my memory's not the greatest right now, but I don't recall. Most people don't say anything negative face to face to me, and I'm just being honest. I don't know why that is. I think sometimes I intimidate people, but again, that's because I demand respect and I'm not on the foolery. I just can't. People accept a lot.
So now I'm going to ask you the same question, KeKe, in reverse. Has a lighter skinned person ever made you feel insecure about the way you look, or said that you're this way because you're brown skin or dark skin?
Absolutely.
And that's what I wanted to, you see the difference, Shasta? And she's very confident too. but you see the difference in that, and I had a feeling you would say that. Go ahead, KeKe.
Yeah, and like for me, being a woman of a darker complexion, I never envied people who were light skinned. I just wish that I was light skinned like them. So I wouldn't feel how I was feeling because of my complexion. So I never like mugged on anyone like because you light skinned, or I've never done that, or I never felt that way. I was just like, I wish that I was you. Or when you're teasing me, I wish that you knew how I felt to feel this small.
Oh, that's horrible. I'm sorry you went through that. That touches my heart, because you're probably, you're a little older than my kids, but they're in their 20s. That is so sad. And I'm so sorry that you've had to experience that. People are so ignorant. Just to that, and I'm emotional a little bit today anyway, but when I hear this from people, because what people don't realize, that little thing that you did, I'm holding my phone with both hands so I don't shake, but do you know there are people that hang themselves because of that?
Exactly.
They end it all because of those evil. Just thank you for being strong and knowing that even in that moment, that person that says that, just know there's some insecurities. All light people do not have self-esteem. I'm gonna promise you that. I've been her when I was younger. I'm so sorry that you've experienced that, and I'm glad for this experience, because that's sad. Just looking at your face hurts me. I mean, that you belittle someone because of their color, that's a lot for me, because I love people and I try to uplift people. So, it's horrible.
I appreciate that. My mom she had listened to the first part 1 of our discussion, and I never.
You got my eyes red. Goodness.
Yeah, I have a frog in my throat. I'm trying not to cry, but anyway, so my mom had came to me. She said that she watched it, and she didn't understand why I never told her why I was feeling the way I felt. And it's not easy to just openly be like, yeah, I'm getting teased. And that may not even have anything to do with your complexion. You may be too small or too large. Like, people find anything to tease you about, but it's not always easy to just be like, hey, yeah, I'm getting teased. Hey, yeah, I'm being bullied because of XYZ. So it takes a lot of nerve to express how you feel or what you went through. So she was like, why didn't you ever tell me? And I was like, it was important to me, but I didn't feel like it was important enough to tell you. And like, knowing a parent, or especially a mother, the first thing a Black parent gonna do is go up to the school.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That's what makes it work.
And that's a light skinned mother or a mother or a brown skinned mother.
Right.
All shade mother.
Yep. Yes.
Right.
So but then that would have made it worse. That would be worse, because then you're in the principal's office, and then once mommy gone, once daddy gone, once the principal's gone, it gets worse because you a snitch.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
When I look at Shasta, and I don't know if you can see my eyes a little red, that got me too, because I'm looking at KeKe and just the intellect first. That's what I see first. Like, I don't see her as a dark-skinned beauty or whatever you want to call it. I see that she is smart as a whip. That's the first thing I see.
Yes.
I want other people to see that. The way she strings her words together, her tone of her voice, that's what I wish that we see for each other. And just like I said in part 1, I don't want our first descriptions of one another to be, she's light skinned, she's dark skinned. I want it just to be, she speaks well, or her hair looks beautiful, or I love her earrings, or something like that. So when you think about Shasta, and Shasta immediately cried and got choked up, that diminishes the myth that Danielle had in part 1. And now if you hadn't seen that, please go back and check it out. She said her family told her pretty much that light-skinned women were evil. They did it, that basically are hating on you. They're going to hate you forever. They're never going to be nice to you. And a lot of people have said. So for Shasta to sincerely and genuinely get choked up and hated to hear that, and I know Kanita didn't like hearing that, and I didn't like hearing that. That debunks that myth right there. That foolishness, you know. And like Shasta said, all light-skinned people are not attractive, I'll say, and all brown-skinned people are not monkeys. That's right, I said it, monkeys.
Because there's some light-skinned ones look like little monkeys. Don't play with me. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. You're right. That beautiful this, not that is garbage. Let people open their mouth and talk.
Right. And if you hear people, if you stay silence is just sometimes the best thing in the world. If you stay silent and listen to other people's conversations, we've seen it. You can go on right now and say, Google a black person calling another black person monkey. We're not talking about the white folks because we already know they call us that, no matter what you are, but just see it. And we're calling each other that. She looked like a gorilla. She looked like a monkey. Oh, he's not cute. He's too black. Like that just drives me bananas. Since y'all calling us monkeys.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. No pun intended. No pun intended.
That's funny.
No pun intended. Sorry, not sorry. So Kanita, before we got started, I was talking about the movies, and I wanted to bring that conversation in as you and KeKe, Shasta, they are playwrights. So they book talent and cast plays.
Awesome.
And they're going to be doing, so they're going to be doing so many amazing things. And they said that they always have this conversation when it comes to casting and trying to be fair and trying to place the children right with the husband and the wife. They do all of that. And white people don't really take that into consideration, you know. So that's why we need more black and brown people behind the scenes really telling our stories. So when we talk about the movies and think about the movies, right? You have the villain, even in black movies, the villain, he's dark skinned. He's the one that did you wrong, broke the woman's heart, tried to physically abuse her, stalked her, acted a fool. And then the light-skinned one who she meets in a couple of screens ahead, he's the savior. He's the light-skinned one. Think about Tyler Perry.
Exactly. Tomorrow more. Exactly.
I was just getting
Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
We didn't even rehearse this. I was getting ready to say that. I was getting ready to say Diary of a Mad Black Woman, when a black man went for the Spanish girl and he left her and he was mean and abusing her. Then she met Shamar Moore with that cornrow wig.
That thing. Let's not even talk about that wig.
And he was the one that was, what you say?
I said Tyler Perry and those wigs.
Yeah.
A fall from grace and that wig.
Them wigs from Wish.com. Why?
Right.
Oh,
like,
why?
That's a whole. To me, I expect that from a white person, knowing that ain't how it looks. But you know, and somebody tried to challenge him in an interview, and he was like, "Because those are the wigs I had." And the interviewer didn't want to push it, but he was like, he mentioned it, and Tyler Perry's face was like, "Well, that's the hair of the character." And I wanted to say, but that's a whole nother story.
Right. You got, boy? No.
The whole nother
about that.
Whole nother YouTube.
Exactly. But think about a lot of the movies and then think about also when the black man, let's switch it around. When the black man has the brown skin beauty and she's there for him, riding for him, doing his community service, helping him, building him up. And I call it community service when you put in the work for one brother and then somebody else reaps that service.
Why?
You move on. That's community service. Every woman has done. Right, every woman has done community service for the next woman. Let's keep it real. But that's what I like to call it. But think about it. So he's with the brown-skinned woman. You know, she's riding for him. She's doing all of this. And then once he gets up or once he, you know, gets into his professional lane, then if it's not a white girl,
he out of there.
It's light, and extra light. And they show this, you know, in movies, and we have to change that narrative. So it's so funny. My complexion, I be rooting for the brown skin sisters all the time. You can ask anybody in my house. And I want to see that we can all shine together. So I want to see it.
Correct.
If we had more of the right way, so to speak, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation. It's a balance. Not saying that a black man can't have a light-skinned woman and, you know, she can't be light and down for the cause and all of that. I'm not saying that, because yes, we will ride for you. I'm saying that we have to have some sort of balance to see, and not just leaning to one side. And then we can talk about the 80s and music videos, and everybody was light skinned and long hair, and then when you see a brown skinned woman, you're celebrating her because it's not normal. So all of that, Kanita, when you think about the movies and you think about how light skinned women are portrayed, how light skinned men are portrayed, how brown skinned men are portrayed, what do you think about all of that?
I was going to say, just KeKe and I, when we work together, even as we're trying to get into more films, and we've done plays for a few years, what we try to do is defy all of those myths. So who you see in the front of our stages, our casting generally is the opposite of what you would think. Even with our plays and our twists, we always want to create an element of, oh, I thought it was going to be about this, but it's really about something else. So we try to do the same thing even as we're casting. We want it, of course, to look like it's relatable to people. We wanted to make it believable. We don't want to have, and although it's possible for two dark-skinned people, like we said on part one, to literally have a light-skinned child, we still want to make it believable, but we want to defy those things to bring something, someone else to the light. We talk about all the time, we are for the underdog.
Yes, team
So
Me too. That's what I stand
underdog.
for.
we're like underdogs.
Yes.
Like, you know, so that's kind of like our stance in it. We don't want to look like what we see, and we want to bring light and darkness to the forefront, where I mean, what I'm saying, we want to bring light to the darkness, and we want to expose the taboos of even on stage and in theater. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think that, like, I think that I think media definitely plays a huge role in it. And even how the world is now, media definitely enforces violence, lies. The truth is never portrayed. And what we see, like you said, on movies and TV, what we see what is considered the best or the greatest looking. So I think media has a lot to blame as well.
Yeah.
The whole media.
It's so true. It's only one movie that I can think about, well, maybe two. And what's so funny is Michael Ealy played both roles. So think about For Color Girls, and think about The Perfect Stranger. Was it The Perfect Stranger with Sanaa Lathan? Was that what it was called? The Perfect Guy.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So think about that. And it's so funny that Michael Ealy played both. So in Color Girls, I only can see that movie once. And if you've seen it,
devastating.
Heavy. It's heavy. But he turns out to be just horrible. And I'll just say that. And then in The Perfect Guy with Sanaa Lathan and Michael Ealy and Morris Chestnut, Michael Ealy once again was the cray-cray one, the stalker one, and Morris Chestnut. Look, daughter, season part 2 of Colorism. And look, she came she came in the room the last time too. But think about that. So Morris Chestnut, and if I don't want to spoil it if anybody hadn't seen it, it's years old, but he ended up being the what, KeKe? You shaking your head?
The perfect guy.
Yep.
Yes.
And Michael Ealy once again did the same thing. You guys got to see it if you haven't seen either one of those movies. And I love that. Now I want to see how Kanita and Shasta feel about the Black Panther, or I should say Black Panther, the movie, the phenomenon. Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
Right. And people were like, dang, it ain't no light-skinned movies. And people loved it, that it wasn't a lot of light-skinned people. It was a more brown and darker shades. And even with my complexion, I loved that too. I love to see that on the screen. So when you guys saw that, Kanita and Shasta, either one could go first. What did you think when you saw Wakanda for the first time?
I mean, for me, Shasta, because I know she's going to have a lot to say. For me, I was power to the people, Wakanda forever. I'm going there to live.
Right.
Like, you know, if you remember from part 1 for the viewers, I've always wanted to be dark skinned because I was sick of being told I'm stuck up because I'm light skinned and I'm this because I'm a light skinned. And so I've always wanted to be dark skinned. So for me, Wakanda forever was going to be my home. I'm getting my outfit together. I went to the movie theater dressed up because that's my people. So yeah, for me, it was like empowering. I mean, I love my people, you know, so it was empowering for me. It was like, it was a real place. It was it was like, I'm moving there. I got my passport. I'm going. For me, it was like, that's where I'm supposed to be. So for me, it was empowering for our people. And it wasn't about light skin. It was just about how beautiful we are, how powerful we are. You know, even with our rituals and things that we have from, you know, our African heritage. Whoop, whoop. Go to an African church, so I always.
But it's so funny because lately I have been into head wraps, and off and on I would do it. It's just, you know, I like it sometimes, but it's so funny when I think about Black Panther. I had on my gear and stuff, but I ain't have my head wrap on. I need to see Black Panther too. Right. But people were adorned in African garb. People were dressing up to go to the movies. People were so proud. So proud. But go ahead, Kanita. I wanted you to finish. I want to make sure you're finished.
That's all I was saying, that I was extremely proud to be Black. And I would say I listened to different information even on the internet. I listened to, I would say, Larry Reed, which is another show. And basically today, they was basically having a conversation about, in the next few months, Black people are really going to be proud that we're Black. So stay tuned. There's some good stuff ahead for our people.
Yeah, because we're all proud right now.
Yes.
All right, Shasta, as she's taking us on a tour of her
house. I had to look at Wakanda.
I'm about to Wakanda. I heard her. I'm about to. Y'all are going to be in shock. I had to check the time. Remember, I have to work tonight.
Oh, so okay.
I'm going to be getting off soon, but I might lose my Black card right now.
You ain't seen Black Panther. You didn't see Black Panther?
See, you messing it up for the light-skinned people.
Hold on.
I've seen the movie. I seen it
we saw it like 4 times. We saw it like 4 times
in the movie theater, and then like on video probably another 4 or 5 times.
Yep.
I don't watch movies at all. It's not just Black Panther. Okay. I'm just not. I like music. Music is. I can't sing, dance. I'm not a movie person. Every time I go, I fall asleep.
Okay, KeKe, I need you. KeKe, I need you to speak to Shasta, and I need you to tell her why she needs to rent, buy, stream Black Panther. Go.
Beautiful lady. I'm just gonna let you know that I'm in need for you to rent, stream, and watch Black Panther, especially at a time like this. All of the racism and protesting is very liberating. Like, I literally saw it 4 times, and every time I saw something different, I was like, oh, remember that part? And you just feel like so empowered. Like, I am proud to be Black. Like, I am so glad that I can check off Black on application, on anything that somebody's asking my nationality. I'm checking it off because I'm Black and I'm proud. So it will really liberate.
Say it loud.
I'm Black and I'm proud.
It's
a very liberating movie. And the energy, the whole energy in the theater was just like real high.
Exhilarating.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard. So I will, if you guys have like social media avenues, I'm gonna rent it. And I will follow up with you guys, because when I tell people this before here, they're like, you haven't watched what? I'm like, honest. I'm like, I don't watch movies at all. It's just me, and movies are boring to me. But I'm always looking for a new hobby, especially since my mom passed, and my daughter keeps telling me to watch movies. So
I want you, before you hang up, and this is the year celebration anniversary of the death of Shasta's mother. So this is an emotional time for her. So I want you all to just keep her in your prayers and uplift her and think about her. Think about who she is. She's a light and she's a beautiful person. And that only had to come from your mom. So do you want, if you could say something to your Black mom, your light-skinned mom, what would you say to her? And I'm saying that to be funny, but your mom, what would you say to her today?
You did me a disservice by some of the things that you taught me, but I understand based on your generation why you felt the way you did. I thank God that I've learned who I am and how much I love myself and Black women specifically. Thank you, Mom. You know, because my mom just taught me to be strong, but there was some kind of inconsistencies, but I did it for her. She was 70. I'm 42. So I would just say thank you. She had a rainbow for a family, and it has really opened me up to finding out who I am. I'm more than light, bright, and damn near white. That's all I've heard my entire life, and it's rough, but you know, because it comes with a lot of judgment. And I think I'm really emotional today because of my mom, but it's just like, when I heard her speak, it made me think of me. I mean, dark-skinned people have said some things like, wow, I'm sorry, you know, I'm sorry. But I had to look at a bright-faced, green-eyed mom, so I get it.
And I apologize to you too on behalf of dark-skinned people, because that was not right at all. And again, I've never felt that way. Like, I wanted to have the same complexion as light-skinned people, honestly. So you're beautiful, and my condolences. I know what it is to lose a parent. So I lost my dad 2 years. Well, it will be 2 years. So I understand that void. And you look wonderful. You look great.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys. I'm glad that I'm here today, and I'm sorry that I have to go to work, but I guess my employees need my help.
Yes.
Sure.
And that's why, and I will say this before Shasta gets off. Shasta is light-skinned. Kanita is light-skinned. And I am light-skinned. And we're all different shades of light and beauty. And then we have KeKe, the beautiful, what were some of the mocha, what was she? Right. We have all these, we're talking about the coffee tones. So when you think about that and think about the beauty, none of us are the same shade, even if we are closer to that. And that's what I really want to stress, that we're beautiful in all shades, whether it's white, or dark black. We are beautiful. And you got to try to find the beauty in people outside of their skin tone. So we're not going to do all of this without you, Shasta. So we are going to conclude. If you have your last words and your final words that you want to say to your fellow Black women, dark and light, what would you say to them?
Love yourself. Just dig deep. You will find you, and you'll be able to love you first, then you can love others.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shasta. And we're going to continue just a couple of moments with the other ladies.
Nice meeting you. Watch Black Panther.
All right.
Watch Black Panther.
Please do.
I promise I will, and I'll get with all of you.
Yes.
And my prayers to you, be safe. And she's an essential
Stay
worker.
strong.
So,
Thank you.
Be safe and know that you are beautiful and you are a light no matter what complexion you are, because that's not what we see first. When you jumped on here, we saw your energy, we saw your personality, and we saw your boldness. Right, ladies?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ladies. I love you guys. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Thank you. All right, so Shasta went on to work. She is an essential employee, and that's why she was unable to join us on part 1, but I'm glad that she did. So, Kanita, as we wind down, when you heard Shasta and some of the things that she said about dark-skinned women or feeling the way she did, could you relate a little bit to her with some of the things she was saying?
Absolutely. Almost everything that she said, down to, you think you're cute, you have more opportunities. And some people think that. And like I said, I've always, if you go back and watch part 1, the way that I grew up, I've always wanted to be dark-skinned. So just like dark skin. Oh, I want to be light skinned because they have so many privileges. Well, I definitely wanted to be dark skinned because I wanted the privileges of not being teased, not being told that I was stuck up or too good, or I'm only gonna, and we were having a conversation earlier about even in the judicial system, it's okay, if you light skin, you probably get off, you know, if you dark skin, you going to jail, you know, all those stereotypes and the things that some of it is true. There's some truth in it. But I've always, for those reasons, wanted to, I'd rather suffer with my people. I think I would have, like, honestly wanted to be in the field. Like, nope, I don't want no privileges. I want to be right there in the grind with my people. So I totally agree with a lot of the things that she expressed today. I was really glad to have her. She was wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. So, KeKe, how do you think we can change this discrimination within our own community?
I would say we're at step one because we're talking about it. It's definitely taboo, something nobody really says, nobody wants to admit. Most people probably wouldn't admit that they were the offender, and some people may not admit that they were the victim. But I think it begins with actually talking about it, bringing awareness and changing. Like, if you were that person that teased someone because they were light skinned or because they were dark skinned, then social media, and this is my thing, I'm very big on apologies. So social media is so vast that, or Google, you can find whoever you want. So even one apology can change somebody's life, just like one word can destroy somebody's life. So even apologizing, if you can reach out to the person, or, you know, forgiving yourself too, because like Shasta was saying, people commit suicide for any reason. Like, it could be one trigger or one thing that you do, and they just end it all. And unfortunately, some people have already ended their lives because of things like this. So not being that one, not being that person that will cause someone to go over the edge or cause someone to go into a shell and not, you know, be who they're called to be in life because of their self-consciousness. So talking about it and apologizing if that was you, forgiving yourself if you were the one, and affirmations, like speaking over yourself, trying to counteract those words that were said.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good. And see, that's what I see first when I look at KeKe. You know, she's making sense and she's intellectual. And that's really sincerely the first thing I see, you know, and people are going to be like, well, Kendell, you got to see her complexion. Yeah, I see that. But that's not the forefront of what I see when I look at her. Or with Kanita, I don't say, oh, my fellow light skin. Like, I don't think like that. And I really want to challenge everyone not to think like that. It starts with us first. Now, if you're listening and watching and you're Black and you think, well, light-skinned women don't have more privileges, dark-skinned women can have the same privileges, let me read you something. So it was this research study done by, and it just says by Black feminists. So it says, using data to study the effects of colorism of women of color. So I'm just going to touch on some of the things. Light-skinned women have more years of education. These are statistics. Light-skinned Black women have higher amounts of personal income. Light-skinned women marry spouses with higher income levels and education. What Hunter's research means for colorism today. So this is called Hunter's research. You guys can look up this. Hunter's research brings in important attention to how colorism privileges some women of color over others. Nevertheless, Hunter points out the data comes from a data source from the late 20th century. I'm just going to read. I don't want to read everything. But look it up. Look up Hunter's research on colorism. I think it's so important to really call a thing, like Iyanla says. We have to first realize that it is an issue. It is a problem within our community. And then once we know for a fact that there is an issue with colorism within our community, that's when we can begin to change. Like KeKe says, if you know yourself that you're guilty of discriminated against someone because they are dark skinned, and you've said blackie and coon and you know derogatory things to a dark skinned person, or vice versa. If you're a dark skinned person and you've said, oh, she's light, bright, darn near white, you know, she's a white girl, she only got the guy and the job because she's light skinned. And you really said some things. Because my daughter said that this is a thing on Black Twitter. They talk about this a lot. And some people are coming for people of different shades, really with their frustrations and their anger. And I think that's not a way to see what somebody really says, because that's going to put up our defenses. You're shaking your head, Kanita. What do you think when someone just charges at someone?
Yeah, my mind was thinking about something else. Is an apology enough? That's what I was actually thinking, but an apology without changing your behaviors. That's what it is. So yeah, you can apologize, but if you don't change your behaviors towards this issue, then you're still just creating a whole system of our young people and hatred and racism, with colorism. I'm thinking it has to be, a lot of people get on, oh, I apologize. Yeah, you apologize because you want us to go back to your crab store and buy crabs. Or you're apologizing just for faith, but there has to be a change of heart and there has to be a change in behaviors. And until we do that, we'll never grow as a people. We'll keep these divided. We'll keep these paper bags, these invisible paper bags now.
Right. Absolutely. And it's so funny, before I end, I just have to tell you, my daughter is brown skinned. I guess the color of maybe Tatiana Ali, Chile, and I'm using these two for an example. I asked my daughter if she ever been discriminated against because she is brown. She's the brownest, brownest of my daughters. And she said, no, she's never had any problem. No one's ever said anything. And when we talk about texturism in hair, my daughter's hair is similar to Chili's and Tatiana. It's a curlier, wavier pattern. So sometimes if a brown-skinned person or a dark-skinned person has a softer texture hair or curlier texture or almost white or whatever you want to say, the slack is it falls back a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you're dark skinned and your hair is kinkier, then you might have the problem. And I know that's opening up a whole new can of worms. And I'll definitely have you guys back on when we talk about texturism. But what you were shaking your head, KeKe.
Yes, because it's this concept of good hair. And it's like,
oh, I hate
what is good hair? Because what I know from a biblical standpoint, that a woman's hair is her glory. So whether she has short hair, long hair, kinky hair, wavy hair, your hair is your glory. So it doesn't matter what kind of hair you have.
Right.
So that really be getting me, like, oh, you got good hair or whatever.
I hate it.
Like,
but I will say my daughter, she does not like it. She doesn't hold herself high esteem because her hair is like that. She hates when people say good hair. She hates when people say your hair's curly. Let me touch. She hates that. It's her hair. She pays no attention to it. And she doesn't even play up her hair. She'll put it in the bun and go on about her business. But other people, that's another way people cause division. Oh, her hair. So if they go up to you, you're both my daughters and both of them are beautiful and their hair is beautiful in both different ways. But my oldest daughter's hair is a tighter curl, where my youngest daughter's hair is a looser curl. And it used to bother me when people would come up and they would just gravitate to her. Oh, look at her hair, as if another daughter wasn't standing there. And that's the division too in our community. And we're definitely going to come back and talk about that good hair and all of that foolishness. And I definitely want you two to be a part of that as well. You guys down for that one?
Yeah, have us back.
Let me tell you, we're about to change the game. We're about to burst these myths, because these are conversations that need to be had.
Yeah.
Lastly, Kanita, so what would you tell someone as we wrap up? What would you tell someone who is light skinned and they feel like dark skinned or brown skinned women or men don't like them because they're light and they're really just frustrated? They're young, a girl or a guy, just struggling with that. What would you tell them?
I would say first to love yourself, because if you can love yourself, it doesn't, and we talked about it last week, sticks and stones may break my bones. We say all these things, words do hurt, but the more, like KeKe said, that you affirm yourself and you love yourself, you build yourself up, it's like when you do that, you are protecting your space, you're protecting your heart, you're protecting, so you'll begin to just blossom. And like, even as you said, you were growing up, you didn't see color. It's like as you administer love to people, they'll have to break down. Like, love is such a strong thing. When you love yourself and you administer, it'll break down evil, even cast out fear. It's so powerful. So I would say the biggest thing that I could say today is love yourself. Work on loving yourself, knowing who you are, and then administer that to your neighbor and to others.
That's good. And I will say that I did see color. I didn't see shade, because I see when the white folks, I knew that difference, but I didn't care about shade. So you're absolutely right. So final words, KeKe, and then we're going to get on out of here.
Yes. So I think that we should keep talking about it, keep enforcing it. And I would imagine that this could become a whole movement, but to a young lady or young man who's of a darker complexion, just like Kanita said, love yourself. It starts with loving yourself, accepting yourself as you were, because none of us asked to be here. None of us asked to be born. It was ordained by God. And so we didn't pick what complexion we were going to be. It was by the choice of God at the end of the day. And so no matter what you go through, no matter what you hear, you can always counteract it by a positive word, because words are very powerful. And you can dispel whatever you want to eliminate, whatever you want to dispel, you can dispel that by words, by positive words, positive affirmations.
Absolutely. And like Kanita said on the last show, it takes a lot of positivity to counteract that negativity and that negative language. And it starts with you. It starts with what you tell yourself. So if you don't feel that, if you're brown skin and you don't feel that you're that attractive and people have not been saying that to you or not lifting you in that way, you have to find people that look like you, the same complexion. And if you can find beauty in them, then you can find beauty in yourself. But it does, I agree with both ladies, it starts with the love of yourself. And sometimes you don't have other folks around to affirm you. So you have to affirm you. If you love your lips, if you love your eyes, if you love your nose, if you love your hands, find something on you to celebrate you. And if you're light skinned, if you feel too light and you wish you were browner and you wish you weren't light because you got teased, find the beauty in you. Stop worrying about what everyone else says. Find the beauty in you. You are beautiful. And if you're a Black woman or a Black man, know that there is beauty in that alone. So I thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you
For tuning in.
Get it.
Thank you for the wonderful lip
Kendell
balm.
Lenice Live. This is the lip balm. You can get this. This is available starting June 17th. But thank you so much for watching. This has been part 2 of the colorism, conversation. I was trying to put colorism and conversation as one word. Maybe I can coin that. Maybe let me work on that. But in the Black community, we know that it happens in other communities as far as colorism, whether it's the Asian, East Indians, African cultures, but we're talking about in Black America. That's what we're talking about, because that's where slavery took place. But thank you so much for tuning in. Please go back and look at part 1 and follow up with part 2 and share that with your friends and family so we can bust this wide open and get the conversation rolling. And also stay tuned for the texturism and the good hair comment and all that. We are going to tackle that as well. So until next time, thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Until next time, remember you are a star, so don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. Peace.